are you? My name is Neil Sullivan. I'm the professor for your PAF 1250 course, the one that was supposed to meet this week and did not. So our first gathering will be next Wednesday. We have Labor Day on Monday, so we're not going to meet then. The first class of the second week will be on Wednesday, and that's when we'll all be in the same room, I trust, and proceed with the rest of the semester. So what I wanted to do in this brief chat is to give you an idea of where we are after the first week and where you want to make sure you are, what you need to have done or accomplished before we see one another on Wednesday. So if you go to the syllabus for the course, you'll find it on Blackboard. You want to make sure you read the whole thing and read it several times. Then you go to the week-by-week layout of the course, and you'll see that for week 1, you're supposed to have read the Constitution. So if you haven't done it yet, you can do it today. It's a short document. All you want to do is just read through it. There are 7 articles and 27 amendments. The first 3 articles cover the branches of government: the legislative, executive, and judicial. And the other articles cover a number of things. Is there a religious test for public office? How do we bring new states into this union? How many states have to ratify the document for it to take effect? Things like that. 7 articles, 27 amendments then are followed. Just read through them. The first 10 are what we call a Bill of Rights. They tend to come in bunches, actually. So you have the first 10 come together. Then 11 and 12 came together as certain problems emerged in the early republic. And then we didn't have anything until after the Civil War in the 1860s. And after the Civil War, we got the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment that addressed slavery and other forms of racial oppression. And then we didn't have anything until the 19-teens, when we got the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th Amendments pretty much packaged together. And as you'll see, that's where it goes. There are people now looking at the state of our public affairs, thinking we may need some more amendments. We might want to change some things about the Supreme Court. We might, there's just a host of ideas about how to improve the ability of this government to function and to inspire confidence in people, where at the moment it seems to be at an especially low ebb. But we'll get into all that in class. I just want to give you an idea of what you want to start focusing on today. So today, you've either read the Constitution or you want to start reading it. I would suggest you take some notes on it. But because we're going to go back over it, because Linda Monk's book, which I have right here, this one, The Words We Live By, what that does, it goes through the Constitution very thoroughly and carefully. And we're going to take our time going through that book. So before the midterm, one of the points we're going to try to accomplish, you should have a thorough grasp of the theory of American government. It is a complex theory. It's a complex system of government. It's pretty much unique. There's no other country. We often make comparisons with England, France, Germany, and so on. They have parliamentary systems. They're really fundamentally different than what we have. So you'll sometimes hear, well, other countries have energy policies and they have different forms of taxation. They have all kinds of things that are different. Part of that is a reflection of this type of government they have. And if we don't have those things, it reflects the type of government we have. On this day, right now, you want to have read the Constitution and you want to read the Federalist Paper number 10. The Federalist Papers were a collection of 85 essays written by John Jay, James Madison, and Alexander Hamilton, mostly Madison and Hamilton. They explained the Constitution to the American people, and they wanted the American people to contact their representatives in the state conventions that were considering whether or not to ratify the Constitution that had been produced in a convention in Philadelphia in 1787. Of those 85 essays, number 10 is famous. It's a brilliant document on what we call interest groups, what James Madison, the author, called faction. You want to brace yourself because the Federalist Papers are halfway back to Shakespeare. Syntax is a word. Sometimes you hear about grammar and syntax. I expect you know what grammar is, that there are certain rules of usage that we want to obey. Syntax refers to word order, the construction of a sentence. A sentence might be grammatically correct and syntactically a mess. You read the Federalist Papers, I'd be shocked if you said, boy, I got that. That was clear as a bell, especially number 10, as important as it is. Let me take a minute here. I had this ready, and here we go. Part of the confusion around Federalist 10, and I want to get you through the first layer of confusion. It's a complex essay, and we're going to spend our time with it once we meet. But for today, I want you to jot down the following questions and then read the document and see if you can find the answers. First question is, what does Madison mean by faction? Now, if you go through it, you'll find the following answer. By a faction, I understand a number of citizens, whether amounting to a majority or a minority of the whole, who are united and actuated by some common impulse of passion or of interest, adverse to the rights of other citizens or to the permanent and aggregate interests of the community. Hang on, I've got to take a belt here. There. So what does that mean? Well, it means we actually have a phrase for it today. We talk about special interest groups. You never heard anybody say, I'm a proud member of a special interest group. Special interest group has a pejorative connotation. It means there's a smell about it. There's something hinky about it. And what do we mean by the term special interest group? Well, that crowd, they only care about themselves. They're not interested in the public interest. They don't care about the rest of us. What's good for the community? What Madison calls the permanent and aggregate or total interest of the community. So if you poke around, that's the first question. What does he mean by faction? And that's the answer if you go through that. But that's not batting leadoff in the essay. You got to go through it to find that. After you find that, what are the causes of faction? And he lays that out as well. He gives you a number of reasons. You can jot this stuff down. And then, third, what does he mean when he talks about the most common and durable source of factions? There's something, he uses those words. You can find it related to those words, and it jumps right out. You want to make sure that you really want to take notes as you read through this essay. It's a short essay, but it's dense. So when we come in on Wednesday of next week, I'm going to say, what'd you find out about faction? And it's going to take us until the following Monday, which will be the second meeting of week 2. What'd you find out about faction? You want to be able to look at your notes, unless you are to this stuff you've been waiting for all your life and your brain's ready and you just born, but this couldn't be clearer. I would suggest take some notes. And then, can I look at my notes? Yeah, you can look at your notes, sure. I'm going to be looking at my notes. Hang on. I'm not in mid-season form yet with talking to all of you, so there may be this occasional interruption. Now, those are 3 questions. What does he mean by faction? What are the causes? And what is the most important cause? 2 more questions. 1, should we get rid of faction, of the causes? Should we get rid of the causes of faction? Answer is no. Why is that? Then, should we control for the effects? The answer is yes. Bear with me. Excuse me. How do you control for the effects? We're going to be talking about all that. All I want you to start on today is make a good faith effort to get through, slog through that essay as best you can. And do not worry if you come out of it and you got a few things written down and you say, I don't know what the hell this stuff means. I didn't understand any of it. Just do the best you can, understand whatever you can. We're going to go over it in class, and I'd say week from today, a couple of weeks from today, you're going to have a good handle on this. And that's how we build through the course. We're going to find this apparently antiquated idea that's in this essay, Federalist 10. We're going to find it is so germane, so pertinent to our current circumstances that it's really amazing. And it's not that Madison had this fabulously effective crystal ball. It's more the case that a lot of the problems we have, they're the problems that everybody has had throughout history in trying to govern a community. Now, some of us find that exercise just fascinating, and other people think, wow, gee. Nah, I'm really more interested in the second law of thermodynamics or a violin sonata or something else. That's just, who we are. We're different. This course, it's about American government. You want to develop your understanding of American government. It's not really about opinion. I don't care for whom you vote. It doesn't matter for whom I vote. I would like us all to engage in civic affairs more thoughtfully than we do right at this moment. To be a little more knowledgeable, understand other perspectives a little more deeply. That's what we're going to try to do in the semester. So that's the Constitution, Federalist 10. Where do you get the books? Where do you get this Book of Monks? Well, different possible places. I suppose you could go in a bookstore, which would be my preference. But there aren't that many left anymore. It's gone the way of retail. Most students, at least up until quite recently, you'd go online to one of the obvious sources. You might go to Barnes and Noble, you might go to Amazon and order the book. If whatever source you find, let me wrap this out, there are secondary book markets. I don't know much of anything about them except they exist. And I've had students who get their books through secondary markets. We have a discussion board on Blackboard, and I suggest get on that. And what I've seen in the past, somebody just says, hey, anybody know where to get this book? I don't want to spend that kind of money. And this is nothing like what you're going to get in statistics and management and some other things with these multi-$100 textbooks. We don't do that. But relatively speaking, I mentioned this in the suggestions for the course, the books we have are reasonably priced, but you might be jammed up at the moment. And that's reasonable, but I can't afford it. $100,000 for a Rolls Royce, I suppose, is reasonable. I don't have $100,000 to spend on a Rolls Royce, so that's out of my league. If I had to have a Rolls Royce, I'd be calling people at used car lots and other places. Could I get a Rolls Royce in my price range? I probably could. It might be missing the engine, but that might be the best I'd be able to do. So, bookstore, online, secondary markets. Might be able to get an ebook. I don't know how you get an ebook, but if you go to a library, maybe even if you went online and said how do you get an ebook, or you go on just go to talk to a librarian. Librarians are always eager to help, in my experience. Baruch librarians are terrific. The parts of Baruch I personally don't find to be terrific, but library's solid. So you could check that out. Once you get a hold of Monk's book, you want to read pages 9 to 63. This is all in the syllabus. And those pages cover Article 1 of the Constitution. Take notes. We're going to go over it in class. And you're going to be more knowledgeable about the legislative branch of American government. You're going to read in the Constitution, in this charter of our government, you're going to read about the House of Representatives and the Senate. The two bodies combined are what we mean when we talk about Congress. This system of two houses in one Congress, this is called a bicameral legislature. Two houses. We're going to go through all that in class. All right. Let's wrap this up because I can get launched and be here for hours. Read the syllabus. Read it several times. Take notes on it. And then read the suggestions for the course. It should be in the course documents section of Blackboard. Read that several times. If you have any questions, read them again. And then if you still have any questions that you can't wait till Wednesday, shoot me an email. Send it to Neil J. Sullivan, NeilJSullivan @ gmail.com. Now, if you didn't get this down or you can't remember whatever it is, you can send it to my Baruch account, the Blackboard thing. I don't find Blackboard particularly reliable. So we'll get into that on Wednesday, and we'll have an alternative that my experience works better. It is entirely possible I've forgotten something that I intended to mention, and that's going to happen because I am a flawed human being. You might even find that you are a flawed human being, and boy, I thought we were supposed to read something else, and I didn't get this done. We're not going to worry about that stuff. We're going to stay engaged. We are going to help one another learn about American government in our subsequent weeks. And need to see you in whatever the room is. I didn't write that down. 4:05 on Wednesday. Registrar thinks we start at 4:10. And we do start at 4:10, but that means you got to be in your seat at 4:05. Every class, we have a quiz. Very simple, very short. But it starts at 4:10. So you want to be there for that. I'll explain all this stuff and more on Wednesday. So I look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, have a good weekend. Stay safe. Stay healthful. It's a very good idea. All right. We'll catch up. Thanks.